What is up, everyone? Welcome back to POW Gaming, and it is our
second MSS
second MSS
is the second MSS of our marathon we've been having, right? So fifth and final day, also the last event we're gonna have in SoCal for the year.
Yeah.
So when we have a little treat coming up for you guys here, a banger of a set, just to start with, right? We got Riley and Everett, a regular here. This dude makes top cut, and Riley Factura, a very well-known player, currently number one
in the world right now, championship points. I always see him on stream. Anytime I turn on a regional broadcast, there he is. All right, we're getting right into it.
Yeah, so I did not see what Pokemon chose, but like Riley chose. But here Everett leading with their Shifu Amoonguss, while we got King Gambit and Dragonite here, right? And it's actually a little kind of awkward for that, right? Because I mean, Gambit, while it has Protect, the Dragonite either needs to like switch out or is probably gonna get slapped.
Yeah, that's always the tough thing about, like, you're going up against the Urshifu, you're going up against Amoonguss. It can redirect a lot of these moves, and when it comes to that Dragonite, you know, fortunately for it, it has Assault Vest, but it really depends on what moves it wants to like use at the moment, because this Amoonguss, you know, can redirect into that. Now, whether or not that Everett wants to like Terrasilize already, because, you know, Aerial Ace would do, or not Aerial Ace, yeah, Aerial Ace would do, you know, good damage to both, but he is going to switch out here into the Chi and Pow, so he's really going for that damage.
Yeah, and actually, if the Sword of Ruin does what I think, right? Oh, King Gambit's going for the Protect. Does Everett read into this in just close combat? Oh no, she goes for the Ice Spinner. Okay, so maybe he thought the King Gambit was going to Terrasilize into that popular dragon they have, right?
Yeah.
That was good mid ground from Everett. I mean, not much progress on the board was made, but crucially, the Chien-Pao Sash is gone. So that is some progress, but like it's just a little bit of chip.
But unfortunately, this Urshifu is now locked in to Ice Spinner, which does pretty much not too much to either Pokemon.
To either of these Pokemon, so it's no longer really a threat.
Everett has pretty, you know, he's definitely going to think of like switching out at this point, because it's going to be doing minimal damage to Chien-Pao or King Gambit, and Urshifu is a powerful Pokemon. You don't want it to be doing none damage. You might have to switch it for later.
What did Amoonguss do the last turn?
I think it tried to Spore. Or
I think it tried to Protect, probably. I mean, no, I think it spored into King Gambit Protect.
Yeah. All right, here comes the Ice Spinner into the Golden Go.
That still does a lot for being a
decent jump, like a third.
Oh,
it was a crit.
Okay. Now, Shout Cleave going into the Golden Go. This actually should pick up the KO.
Yeah.
And I think something's going to sleep here.
Definitely.
Everett, he is actually a good position here, right? Because now that he gets to do that, right? Now this King Gambit's kind of a sitting duck, and now Riley's in like an interesting position, right? Because since the Urshifu is a Scarf Urshifu, he needs to guess which slot this close combat is going, right? And respond with either a Terra or a switch out.
I think his safest bet would probably be going into the King Gambit, because Chien-Pao could Terra into Ghost, whereas King Gambit has Dragon, which will be doing neutral damage.
Yeah, and Everett actually has an onus on where to aim the Spore as well, right? Because if he spores into the King Gambit, right, predicting a switch, right, he get another off, and maybe Chien-Pao is threatening Amoonguss here, but crucially, Riley is an Ice Spinner Amoonguss.
Yeah.
I mean, Ice Spinner Chien-Pao, and a lot of Amoongusses are actually EV to survive Icicle crashes, which is a lot more powerful. So I don't think Ice Spinner would be able to even for it.
It would, at the very least, bring it down, and then it puts Everett in a situation where he might have to switch it out for that Regenerator. We are going to see the Terra Water on said Urshifu.
Yeah, no, this is interesting just for the extra power. Going for the Surging Strikes. Does he get it into the Dragonite? He hits it into the King Gambit, and King Gambit's actually going to take it really well.
Bring it down just a little under half. So he's going to take this mandatory turn of sleep, and then he could use the Sucker Punch into the next round if it's not redirected into the Aegis. He does have that option. Hope for a wake up there. He just took its mandatory sleep, and now Dragonite comes in just to take a nap.
Yeah, I mean, again, Everett's lead positioning on Amoonguss was really well, right? Really good, because like on the first turn, it was just like ready to put anything to sleep, right? And from what it looks like, I don't think Riley brought anything to this Amoonguss.
No.
I believe it was he had King Gambit, Qian Pao, and Dragonite. Actually, what was fourth? Yeah, I didn't see team,
but regardless, it's like
he doesn't really have an Amoonguss answer on this.
King Gambit woke up. The Sucker Punch will go into the Urshifu.
Good chip
Damage. Takes it almost half. Now the Surging Strike
probably
will
just gonna go into the King Gambit here, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna go into the Dragonite.
And maybe just not expecting the King Gambit to wake up so early.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also think like this is safe because maybe Riley wants to switch out the Dragonite, but then again, I think this is the great thing about whatever its combo right here. It's either you take a lot of damage from this Urshifu, or it gets put to sleep.
Oh, Pollen Puff going on the offensive here. King Gambit doesn't quite go down. Now this Urshifu is locked in to that, so it will take another Sucker Punch.
Not the worst move to do, but it really depends on RNG here if it does knock it out, or if a crit does happen.
Yeah, I honestly think the last Sucker Punch was quite a low roll. Yeah, he might have to crit here. Yeah, that figures. And Urshifu just going for the Surging Strikes. Is it going into the Dragonite again? It does go into the Dragonite, and King Gambit will probably either just this King Gambit's either gonna go back to sleep or just take a Pollen Puff for the knockout, depending on whatever it decides to do with it. Dragonite's still taking a nap.
Oh yeah, that's that second turn to sleep. And it's going to go for the Pollen Puff, but to
into the
heal its ally.
That's actually really smart, right? That prevents, if Dragonite wakes up next turn, it won't be able to get the KO with the extreme speed.
Oh yeah, or the Sucker Punch won't do any damage to it either. It will bring it down to pretty much where it was when it got the first or the second Sucker Punch previously. But he's going to withdraw it and bring in the Iron Hands.
All right. Iron Hands the Radiant too. Oh my goodness.
It's glowing.
It's glowing, yeah. Heck yeah, with all that yellow.
You would think it would be bright enough to wake up the Dragonite, but alas.
Alas, yeah.
The Pollen Puff will probably... Does it knock out the King Gambit?
Yes, it does. Yeah, good neutral hit. Amoonguss, even uninvested Pollen Puff, still does a lot because it is a... believe it or not,
yeah.
Funny enough, it is not a signature attack. It just stole it from Rabombi.
It appropriated a little bit, but it's a good one.
It's now Amoonguss's signature move.
Because
right.
no one, we haven't really seen the Rabombi show up in VGC
since Sword and Shield, right?
Yeah. So Amoonguss is carrying the torch. Best it can, because Grass type can't carry the torch too bad, because all right, so he is really looking at his team right now, either A, considering how to spin this in his favor, or B, what to do for his next matchup.
And now this Qianpao is actually putting a lot of pressure on this, so it can't actually, it can still go for the spore, because I think Everett knows it will live, but you can't reliably go for that without just eating Iron Hand. Iron Hand going for a safe fake out here, and
critical hit.
Oh my god! And Amoonguss sporing the Qianpao makes sense.
Yes. And
now Urshifu actually kind of got in here for free, but what's actually interesting now, right, is I know Everett's Amoonguss is Rocky Helmet, but the thing is let's say he's willing to just take out this Amoonguss, he just wants to take out the, right?
Yes.
Whether it has an effect or not, like he Surging Strikes, Ice Spinner into the, that will probably take it out.
Yeah, I mean, because this Amoonguss keeps putting his Pokemon to sleep, and even if it's just one turn of sleep, that is still one less turn you have to do damage to your opponent. So it is very critical to take it out right here, or do its best, if Riley wants any chance of getting back the momentum of this game in his favor.
Yeah, and he actually Terrestrializes the Qianpao. That means like he's any Drain Punches that come his way. And let's see if the Amoonguss actually wants to attack here. Or Urshifu actually uses U-turn. That's actually really good chip. If the Ice Spinner goes in, I think that's in range.
We'll see. That's sort of where we're in. It does, because it did terrestrialize, it doesn't get stab anymore, so it was gonna mess with it a little bit.
It does still get stab.
Oh, it still gets stab.
You just gain a ghost stab if you have a ghost. So it's basically
Gotcha.
just like having two
And
stabs,
there it is. You learn more every day.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's these little minute details, you know, that happen. Yeah, great read from
Very
Riley.
great read.
Drain punches into the Ghost Jianpao, gets the KO.
Yes, and this Dragonite has already had 2 turns of sleep, or maybe 3, I believe 2. So potentially he can use one more move and at least do some chip damage on either this Urshifu or this Iron Hands.
Yeah, so let's see if he wakes up. Maybe he might click Extreme Speed here and Sucker Punch into the Urshifu.
Yeah.
Because unless Everett wants to just do a double switch,
yeah.
That's probably gonna be like the best option. And, I don't know if Sucker Punch KOs the Urshifu range, but I do feel like if the Extreme Speed goes off, it will KO.
Yes.
And Riley kind of has to.
Riley has to. I mean,
or else the Urshifu will just run through.
Exactly, because it is Choice Scarf. You have to get the priority because there is no other speed control. It wakes up, Extreme goes into it, and just in the red. Now, does the Sucker Punch hit? It does, and there it goes.
Very, again, very, very good by Riley there. You know, playing to his outs.
Yes.
He needed the Dragonite to wake up there, and luck. I was actually quite lucky because actually did not. Oh wow, Jianpao just goes down. Pretty instantly, and it should have him back. No, his Urshifu.
His Urshifu is in the back, and then his Urshifu is Choice Scarf. So
and it's Terra Poison, so you can actually. I believe Riley already has Terra, so. Oh, but
it's
Iron Hands being the only one
he
left.
Couldn't have switched out. That's our bad.
Yeah.
So he's in a good position to maybe clean up this game. The Iron Hands doesn't have any spread moves, so it can only target down one of these opponents. You go for that Wild Charge into the Urshifu first, then you're going to take a lot of recoil.
Yeah.
So I think Riley has turned this around. Stomping Tantrum goes into the Iron Hands. And Drain Punch
into the Dragonite just for extra chip, but this Surging Strike is going to take care of it.
So it doesn't have to go down alone. And a critical hit. It really wants to show that it's putting its A game on, going down swinging.
Yeah, and that was actually really well played by Riley, right?
Very.
That one critical turn where Dragonite woke up, immune, Drain Punch, right? And that was his only out. Again, that wasn't actually the last turn of sleep. It could have just stayed asleep.
One more turn.
Yeah.
So well done, Riley. And now it is time for the next match. Now, what adjustments does Everett need to make here in order to have more of a better positioning? Because I feel like Everett did have a good team leading up into it, and putting a lot of his team to sleep during the battle. But like Riley was able to swing that momentum his way in the latter half of the game. So what adjustments do you think Everett should make here?
I personally think mainly preserving the immune, actually. Right? I mean, that was clearly the biggest threat to Riley's. Now, I honestly think Riley is actually just going to adapt to that, right? Because it did give him a problem, even though he did win that. So he could easily just like bring like one of his 2 spore immunities and go based off that, right? And I think he didn't bring it before, mainly because he does have that fear of the Goldingo, which can't be spored, and the enemy Amoongus that also can't be spored, and Tornadus and Hisuian Arcanine, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 really threaten the Amoongus, right? And Tornadus could actually just threaten the Amoongus even in Terra Waters, right? Because it's still a neutral hit.
Neutral hit.
Even taking with weakness. So I think Amoongus is really important for Everett in this matchup. So I think he needs to leverage that advantage.
Find the right coverage, and we are now starting second match into our top 8 of our mid-season showdown, and we see an adjustment Urshifu and Goldango right in the beginning, and Ogerpon and Urshifu.
Yeah, so this is actually both Urshifus are scarfed.
Yes.
We need to realize that one is poison and one is water. So Everett's is water, and I believe if he just Terra Water Surging Strike, that Ogerpon will go down. It is not very I believe Riley's not super bulky, so it will go down, and Riley needs to choose what's going to take it, but we know what he has in the back. So he does have a Pokemon that's able to take it really well.
It doesn't have the Rocky helmet at this point, so like, but it can definitely eat up these Surging Strike.
Yeah, and that's what he kind of needs in this at this point, right? Like, yeah, it won't punish the Rocky helmet, but Stitcher's Berry still does well, and now the thing is though, Riley may not want to switch out, right? Because his Goldango might set up.
Oh yeah.
Right. So let's see actually if Riley. It is the Chair Dragon Goldango. So
so I believe Riley did lock into Ivy Cudgel into it. So
goes for the close combat. We know Riley's is faster now.
Yes, actually. That is very crucial. But now that defense and speed drop has gone into it, which means the Ice Spinner is going in.
Maybe thinking expecting an Amoonguss switch.
Yes.
And this is going in. It does a good amount of damage actually.
Almost had it. That was a crit.
That was a crit too, and goes for the Maker-in. This Maker-in might actually just KO the Urshifu. Not quite.
Not quite. So it is able to get at least one more close combat off.
Yeah. It also depends though, right? Because a lot of Urshifus actually do run 212 UV their speed, adamant. So it might be a speed tie too. But from what we just saw, Riley's faster. Maybe that's true, or maybe it's just tie, right? Because that speed is just enough like Godspeed Lander.
Yes, but I mean, both of them really know, like, you know, sometimes when you're making your Pokemon, sometimes you may sneak in like four EVs in there, or maybe 8 EVs, you know, just to like boost it up just a little bit, just to, you know, sometimes you look at Smogon and then you're like, huh, should I invest a little bit more here, because everyone is probably going to do this setup, this kind of alignment.
Good switch by Everett here, actually. Now this good switch by Everett, and now this Ogerpon's gonna go on the offensive, right in front of an Urshifu that's about to click Surging Strikes, and the Scarfed. The Urshifu goes for the close combat.
It out. So it
takes it out. Good read by Riley there.
Very good read, and I forget if he's going to the Ivy Cudgel or not, but it is going to do a huge chunk into this Amoonguss.
Yeah. So now we know, since we knew, and the Amoonguss goes down. I mean, really good play by Riley there. Just
very well
prioritizing the Urshifu and him knowing it's faster. And honestly, maybe Everett even thought it was a speed tie. But
there's always that possibility when you go into it, where they're very similar builds, except for like the Terra and whatnot. So it's like there is always that possibility, and like usually that's information you would hope to get on a game 1. But like sometimes we don't have that luxury. We just kind of have to roll with the punches, or the Surging Strikes here.
And unfortunately Riley is up a game. So honestly, Riley has like more Pokemon in the back, and Goldango's chunked, Iron Hands is chunked.
Yeah.
So
and the thing
it is
worse for the Goldango, it is Life Orb. So even if it does massive damage, it is going to weaken itself in the process.
Yeah,
its time is limited.
Gotta hope the Fake Out takes it out. The Fake Out does take it out, which is good, right? Because now, I believe Riley went for. Riley didn't even go for a Protect.
No.
He knew he was prioritizing the Urshifu. Goes for the Ivy Cudgel, +1 Terra Fire. Still takes it out.
All right, now it is this Iron Hands versus the world. Now, granted, if I was in Everett's position, having an Iron Hands as your Lash Pokemon is a pretty good one to have, but against
maybe
the
not
Chien
against
Pao, and because now this Ivy Cudgel, which is already boosted, already getting the Terra, and all this is going for the, you know, this is going to be one
this Sword of Ruin
Cudgel. The Sword of Ruin is bringing down the defenses of this Iron Hands. I think Riley has just won this game, and Everett sees the writing on the wall. The battle has been canceled.
Yep, and congratulations to Riley. I mean, putting on a
good show for our humble little game shop.
I mean, again, that's why he's the #1 ranked player.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he was looking pretty bad game 1, with all his Pokemon being asleep, but he managed to bring it back. Yeah,
he was able to. He didn't panic. He was like, all right, I just have to stall at least 1 turn of sleep. I have to move things right where I could, and was able to swing the momentum back in his favor. That's why you never give up in BGC, even things look dire.
Yeah, so that was our first of the top 8 here, and some of the matches are still finishing up from what I can see. I can see across the room here. So so we will be right back after a few minutes, and we'll get to our top 4 matches. So we'll see you guys in a bit.
All right, stay tuned. Peace.